People come from all over the world to photograph and study the animals of the Galapagos Islands. That is why I'm afraid you only have one day to carry out your research, Mr. Gruber.
That should be plenty of time, Mr. Sanchez. I'm sure I'll be able to get all the photographs I need for my book, The World and Its Wonders.
And it is because of this young bear that you have been given permission. After all, he is from Peru.
And because Peru and Ecuador are right next to each other, we're neighbors, Mr. Sanchez.
Exactly. So, we will meet back here at the end of the day. Good luck.
Isn't this exciting, Mr. Brown? The Galapagos Islands, where evolution happens before your very eyes. Look, Mr. Brown. Oh, wait!
I hope evolution slows down a bit while we're here, Mr. Gruber. Otherwise, you won't get any good pictures.
The blue-footed booby. Steady, Mr. Brown, don't startle it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gruber, but you didn't say anything about it startling me.
Don't worry, Mr. Brown. But we shall have to work out a plan if we are to get the photographs we need. You go that way, and I'll go this way. We'll circle towards each other and corner the bird.
Bears are good at going round in circles, Mr. Gruber.
Quietly, Frank. Do not frighten them away.
Hurry, Fritz, or the shot will be ruined.
We've waited hours for the sun to be perfectly positioned, and you ruined the shot.
Me, Fritz. You are the one who wasn't fast enough.
One whole month and still we have nothing interesting for a documentary film on the Galapagos Islands.
We must find something soon, or our reputations will be ruined.
Aha! But where's Mr. Gruber? Perhaps I can see him from up there. But I'll need to use my claws.
What's that?
Amazing! Red feet! Are you filming?
Of course. Do you see that? Red feet, blue body, red crest. What kind of creature is this?
I have never seen anything like it. You had better not ruin this shot, Fritz.
Mr. Gruber! Ah! Whoa! Mr. Gruber! Ah! Mr. Gruber!
That cry! Fantastic! And whatever it is on the move.
We must get closer, but first, we need camouflage.
I certainly have a helpful assistant. His cries sent the bird right to me.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Gruber. Oh, Mr. Gruber, I've ruined another picture.
That's quite all right, Mr. Brown. We'll just have to try again. Whatever happened to your Wellingtons?
Oh, I left them back there.
Perhaps you should fetch them while I track the bird.
I love this part of our job.
I shall be picking leaves out of my hair for weeks.
You must be perfectly quiet, Fran.
I must be quiet.
Shh! That sounds like something very large. I hope it isn't something that's looking for lunch.
Shh! Here it comes. Ah, it must have spotted us. It is trying to get away. Hurry!
It's chasing me.
There! This creature is behaving strangely. Almost as if it knows it is being followed.
My hat! Something sprung a leak. There. I must be sure to tell Mr. Sanchez about this.
Now is the time to get a close-up. We must be very careful. Who knows what we're dealing with?
I wonder if this creature has a defense mechanism. It could be dangerous.
This creature, it throws rocks.
Ah, Mr. Brown. I'm afraid to say that I've lost the bird.
Well, there's lots more we can take pictures of, Mr. Gruber.
It's the blue-footed booby again. I think it's after your marmalade sandwich.
Aunt Lucy always told me to share.
Good work, Mr. Brown.
Hurry up, Mr. Gruber. It's about to begin.
What a stroke of luck, Mr. Brown, to be able to watch a nature documentary on the Galapagos Islands so soon after our trip there.
I'm sure it'll be very helpful for your book, Mr. Gruber.
We have made a truly wonderful discovery. A new species never before seen on the Galapagos Islands. Isn't that right, Mr. Sanchez?
Experts have examined this footage quite carefully and all agree that this is an undocumented species.
But that looks like my coat, and my Wellingtons, and my hat.
But the greatest mystery is that this rare species seems to have disappeared without a trace.
Well, we know where that rare species is, don't we, Mr. Brown?
And if you had your camera, Mr. Gruber, you could take a picture of it. My favorite part of the day is sharing my buns with Mr. Gruber. I always learn a lot from our chats together. Good morning, Mr. Gruber. Mr. Gruber? That's funny. Mr. Gruber never misses our 11s. I do hope he's all right. Not a sign of him. And no clues. On second thoughts... Mr. Gruber, are you all right?
Mr. Brown, is that you? Ah, good morning, Mr. Brown. I see you've spotted my latest acquisition. It's an old crock. That's the name given to vintage cars. This one is so old it runs on steam.
You mean you have to boil a kettle to make it go?
No, Mr. Brown. What I mean is that it's a steam-powered automobile. It was built in the days before they invented the engines we use today. But I'm afraid it's a little worse for wear at the moment. I wonder if you wouldn't mind helping me to restore it, Mr. Brown.
Restore it? Oh, yes, please, Mr. Gruber.
Soon there will be the International Fair in the Portobello Road, and I hope to enter it in the Grand Parade, if it's ready in time.
I've had plenty of practice at cleaning things up, Mr. Gruber. I'm sure we'll be able to turn this old crock into a new one in no time at all. It sounds as though Mr. Gruber has a new shop bell. Huh, fancy leaving a stepladder lying there. It might cause an accident.
Thank goodness, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Gruber?
Up here, Mr. Brown. I was dusting when the ladder somehow came out from under me. Very unlucky, if you ask me. Although it's not surprising, considering what day it is.
Friday?
It's no ordinary Friday, Mr. Brown. It's Friday the 13th.
Is it your birthday, Mr. Gruber?
No, Mr. Brown. According to the Encyclopedia of Superstitions, many people consider Friday the 13th to be the unluckiest day of the year.
Encyclopedia of Superstitions? It's a good thing I called in at Mr. Gruber's shop. Imagine not knowing about the unluckiest day of the year, or about lifting your feet crossing water, or about the right side to get out of bed.
A lucky penny.
Watch out! According to the Encyclopedia of Superstitions, a penny is only lucky if it's heads up. Heads down means bad luck, so I wouldn't touch it if I were you.
Blimey, that was a close shave. It's tails. Thanks for warning me, mate. In my job, you need eyes in the back of your head.
You're very welcome.
See what I mean?
I don't know how I've survived as long as I have. There are so many superstitions to watch out for. Look out! It's very bad luck to walk under a ladder.
And I have to be extra careful in my new suit. Oh, really?
I have to get back to Windsor Gardens and warn the Browns to take cover. It's a superstition minefield out here. Hello, Mr. Curry. What are you doing?
Well, not that it's any of your business, Bear, but I'm building a cold frame so I can grow my own vegetables. I'll save a fortune by not shopping at the supermarket.
Careful, Mr. Curry. According to the Encyclopedia of Superstitions, it's very bad luck to kill one of these.
Always filling your head with claptrap. Superstitions have no place in the civilized world.
Watch out! Black cat!
What? Who?
I'm afraid I was too late to stop the disaster, Mr. Curry.
I'll say! Who's going to pay for my front window?
It's lucky I found this whistle. Now perhaps I'll be able to warn people of any bad luck in time. Don't move! It's very bad luck to step on a crack.
You've got to be joking, Paddington. We won't be able to move then.
That's what it says in Mr. Gruber's book.
Still on patrol, Paddington?
Vigilance is the watchword, Mrs. Bird.
Well, just you mind you don't wear a hole in the carpet.
Careful, no crossing on the stairs.
What? Whoa! Oh, thank goodness, Mrs. B.
Paddington, you might have caused a nasty accident. I thought you were supposed to be preventing bad luck.
It's not my fault, Mrs. Bird. The bad luck's everywhere. See, you even spilt some salt. That's almost as bad as breaking a mirror. But don't worry, throwing some over your shoulder will make things come right again.
That doesn't make me feel safe at all.
That bear should pay for my window. After all, he is the reason I broke it.
Careful, Mr. Curry. It's bad luck to sweep over the threshold. You're sweeping away your good fortune.
You don't have to tell me, Bear.
You're not having much luck with that window, Mr. Curry. Perhaps you ought to pat your head 7 times.
7's a lucky number, eh? What about the number 3?
I don't know if 3's lucky or unlucky.
Well, you've got 3 seconds to clear off before you find out.
In spite of the fact that Paddington is right, let's get on with cleaning the windows. This is turning into the unluckiest day ever.
I hope you're not starting to believe this superstitious nonsense, Henry.
Friday the 13th is tougher than I thought. The Browns have had nothing but bad luck since I got home, so it's time to switch to Plan B. Lucky Charms. This bell will scare off bad luck. And this rabbit's foot should work like a charm. Although it wasn't very lucky for the rabbit. Now, all I have to do is take my lucky horseshoe. I hope all the luck hasn't drained out.
Careful, Henry. We don't want any more accidents.
Then you'd better look out for Paddington.
Henry, are you all right?
Don't worry, everyone. This should start working soon, and the spell of bad luck at Windsor Gardens will be over. I might share some good luck with Mr. Curry.
Rather him than us.
Well, 3rd time lucky. If I didn't know better, I'd say that bear was onto something.
Hello, Mr. Curry. I see you've mended your window.
Don't come any closer, Bear. I've used up all the glass from my cold frame. I can't afford any more accidents.
That's why I've come to offer you this lucky horseshoe.
horseshoe, eh? Well, how does it work?
Well, you make a wish and throw it over your left shoulder without looking back.
Maybe I can charge people to use it to offset the cost of my repairs.
I don't know about that, Mr. Curry.
Nonsense! It's a smashing idea. In fact, that's what I'll wish for. Bear!
I'll be in my room where it's safe.
I think Paddington staying in his room is the best luck we could have on Friday the 13th.
Would you care for a biscuit, Mr. Gruber?
No, thank you. But I'm happy to see you relaxing after our latest trip abroad.
Bears like boats.
Oh, then you'll be interested in our sweep, sir.
Oh, don't bother sweeping. I'll be sure to brush the crumbs into the sea. The fish will enjoy them.
This sweep is a contest.
A contest? What do I have to do?
Guess how far the ship will travel by midday today. The person closest to the exact distance wins the jackpot.
That's easy. My uncle in Peru taught me how to predict the weather from the smell of the wind. The ship won't travel very far today because of the bad weather. My guess is 25 nautical miles.
Are you sure, Mr. Brown? There isn't a cloud in the sky.
Storms at sea can come out of nowhere. I learned that when I was a stowaway.
Let's not mention stowaways to the captain, shall we? I'll put you down for 25 nautical miles.
I think I may have made a wrong guess by mistake, Mr. Gruber.
Perhaps it was the salt air mingling with some marmalade from your snack. Everyone seems certain we will travel a great distance today. But don't feel bad. It was only a guess. I will let you enjoy your biscuits alone, Mr. Brown. Now, be careful. Don't stay out in the sun too long.
The sun's very hot, and I'm starting to get full and sleepy. That's strange.
Paddington!
Mrs. Brown? Where are you, Mrs. Brown? I can't see you, and I don't like the look of what I do see. Mrs. Brown, Mr. Brown, Mrs. Bird, where are you? Help! No. That was no ordinary dream. That was a nightmare.
Paddington!
The nightmare's still happening. Hey, watch it. Mr. Gruber was right. I spent too much time in the sun, and now I'm seeing ghosts. If anyone can help me, it's the ship's doctor.
Good gracious! What seems to be the trouble? You look as though you've seen a ghost.
I have. 3 of them, as a matter of fact.
3? Dear me. Why don't you tell me all about it?
Well, it happened right after I was chased by some biscuits.
You were chased by biscuits?
That's right.
I see. And this happens to you often?
Sometimes, depending on how much I've eaten. But it doesn't stop there. Then I saw the Browns and Mrs. Bird, but they're in London.
A bird in London? You're sure it wasn't a seagull on the railing?
Mrs. Bird, a seagull? She wouldn't like to hear that.
Start from the beginning.
I was sitting on the deck.
You were sitting on the deck? In the sun?
Yes, I was keeping an eye on the weather for the sweep.
It sounds as though you've been hallucinating. What you need is sleep.
But the trouble started while I was sleeping.
It's a clear case of too much sun making you imagine all sorts of things.
Well, it's happening again. There are the Browns and Mrs. Bird.
Oh, my. Hi there. Hello. But you said they were in London, didn't you? Ha!
Ghosts! Help!
No, wait!
Poor Mr. Brown must be very upset. I can't imagine where he's got to.
Last I saw of him, he was running around the ship causing a panic.
We're terribly sorry for all the trouble. We came on board this morning when the ship stopped for supplies.
Now it all makes sense.
Henry wanted to surprise Paddington, not scare him.
But how was I to know he would think we're ghosts and start a panic?
I've looked everywhere for him.
I found Paddington's hat. It was near the railing.
Near the railing? Oh, no! Maybe he fell overboard.
Oh! Overboard?
I've given the order to start the search. In all my years at sea, I've never had a man overboard, let alone a bear.
But, Captain, I'm not overboard. I'm right here.
Paddington!
Ghosts! Run, everyone! Hide!
It's all right, Mr. Brown. They aren't ghosts. They're real. It's a surprise.
You can say that again.
Oh, Paddington, why didn't you come out when you heard the alarm? We thought you'd fallen overboard.
You did. But no one said anything about a bear overboard until just now.
Because we had to stop, the ship is behind schedule. We've only travelled 20 nautical miles, and it's already midday.
20, you say? Then I can't believe it. The bears won the ship's sweep.
I've won the ship's sweep?
Your guess must be the closest.
This better not happen again, or my suspicions will be aroused, and I might have to clap you in irons.
Aye, aye, Captain.
I think I know one bear who's going to have a good sleep after his lunch.
If you don't mind, Mrs. Bird, I think I may stay awake for the rest of the day. Anything can happen when I fall asleep. Dear Aunt Lucy, how I miss the simple Christmases in darkest Peru. Here in England, Christmas is like a jigsaw puzzle. Every time you get someone a present, you fill in a piece. When you have all your presents, you've finished the puzzle. It's getting the presents that's the hard part. This year, I've decided to take the advice of my favorite television show and make all of mine. The program's called Make It Yourself. In the last show, they told us to find some wood, set out some tools, and mix up some paste in the kitchen. But they didn't say anything about the mess.
Welcome to the best in do-it-yourself programming. It's the Make It Yourself Show.
With your hosts, Jan and Jeremy. Okay, everyone at home, have you got everything ready? Got your paste?
Yes.
Got your wood and your tools and your paper patterns all neatly organised?
Yes.
So, are we ready to begin? Remember, safety first, so safety glasses, everyone.
By the end of the show, I had almost filled in the whole of my Christmas puzzle.
We hope you had as much fun as we did. Now, let's see what we've made, shall we?
2 trinket boxes.
For Mrs. Brown and Judy.
1 tie rack.
For Jonathan.
A useful spoon for stirring.
Mrs. Bird will like that.
And a toothbrush holder.
For Mr. Brown.
Now, be sure to clean up, otherwise you'll be in trouble.
And until next time,
Make it yourself!
I had done it, but I still needed to make a gift for Jan and Jeremy, the Make It Yourself team. The only question was, what? Then I noticed that if I wanted to, I could put the piece back into Mr. Brown's toothbrush holder and make a small towel rack. And that's when an even better idea struck me. I would make them a puzzle. But what to make it from? A glance outside gave me my answer. For Mr. Curry appeared to be throwing out the very thing I needed.
Yes, what is it? I'm a busy man today.
Mr. Curry, I wonder, since you seem to be finished with that...
I'm not finished. I'm only just beginning. I have lots more to do before I'm finished.
Yes, but I wonder if I might... That is, Christmas is coming and...
Whatever it is, fine. I wish you luck. Now leave me to my work.
Thank you very much. I couldn't believe my good fortune. The painting was even stuck to a sheet of plywood. It would make the perfect puzzle. Now for the finishing touch. A present for you. There, I've made all my gifts.
Thieves! Brigands! Bandits! Bear, did you notice any suspicious characters while you were prowling around my house? A present for you. A present for me? You got me a present, Bear?
Actually, it's a Christmas present.
A Christmas present? I must say, Bear, I'm very touched. Let's open it now, shall we?
You don't understand. It's meant for...
A jigsaw! And homemade at that. Fancy you going to all that trouble for me.
Actually, I didn't really go to any trouble for you.
You've made me feel much better, Bear. I'm upset, you see, because of what happened while I was cleaning my hall this afternoon.
Cleaning?
I'd stood all the things outside while I was working, and guess what happened?
You mean you weren't throwing things out?
Someone stole a priceless painting. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Oh, I believe you, Mr. Curry. Perhaps you should finish the jigsaw later.
Nonsense. It's starting to take shape.
That's what I was afraid of.
Bear, I can't see to do my jigsaw.
Oh, that's good. I mean...
My painting! This is my painting! Bear, what's the meaning of this? Where are you? Come back here. Huh? Get away from there! They're my things! Leave them alone!
Thankfully, Aunt Lucy, it appeared Mr. Curry didn't like Jan and Jeremy's present after all.
You can't trust anyone today. I mean, you leave things outside, and what happens?
I felt badly about his painting and wanted to make it up to him. But that meant I had to get busy.
Thank you, Mrs. Bird. I'll see myself in. He destroyed a perfectly good painting. A perfectly good painting! It's an outrage. Absolute outrage. He left me this note. Oh, wait till I get my hands on him.
May I help you, Mr. Curry?
That bear! That bear!
Dear Mr. Curry, if you watch Make It Yourself this afternoon, you may see something to your advantage.
What on earth is that supposed to mean?
I expect he means advantage. Paddington doesn't spell very well.
It's the Make It Yourself show. Working here on Make It Yourself is full of surprises.
Today, for example, we became the proud owners of a bear's restoration. Now, who could have predicted that?
What's that? That's my painting! What's it doing on your television?
Never mind your painting. What's Paddington doing?
This used to be a worthless copy of a painting called The Laughing Cavalier.
Worthless? It's been in my family for years.
Until it was improved by Paddington Brown. Now it's a picture and a jigsaw. Talk about a clever gift idea.
Paddington asked us to send the print's original owner a brand new copy of his painting. We've put it in a new frame that's worth more on its own than the old frame and picture put together.
Well, well, a new frame too, you say? Things are looking up.
And perhaps when Mr. Curry's new painting arrives, I could turn that into a jigsaw as well.
Bear!
Dear Aunt Lucy, last Saturday Mr. Brown took us to Brightsea for the day, and I went on the pier. There was so much going on, I didn't know what to look at first. Did you see that? That lady looks as though she's gliding on water.
It's called water skiing. I wish I could do that.
I wonder where you get the skis.
At Signor Alberto's water skiing school. Look! Signor Alberto guarantees to teach anyone to ski. Crash courses given daily.
Crash courses? I'm not sure I like the sound of that. Come along, everyone. Mr. and Mrs. Brown will be wondering where we've got to.
If I may, Mrs. Bird, I'd like to stay here for a while.
All right, then. We'll be at the fun fair.
Oops. Mrs. Bird, you forgot your umbrella. Mrs. Bird! Oh dear, I better hang on to it for her. I wanted to know more about these crash courses, so I went off in search of Signor Alberto.
It's a day at the pier, and we're here with local water skiing instructor, Signor Alberto. Tell me, Signor, how's business?
Well, darling, used to be everybody wants the water ski. Now it's the parasailing. What you gonna do? Life has its ups and it has its downs.
Excuse me, Signor Alberto, if I took one of your crash courses, would I need a helmet?
Crash courses? No. It's just an expression. No one is crashing. It's hurry up to learn, capiche?
A television camera? Is your program shown in darkest Peru? Hello, Aunt Lucy. I hope you got my last postcard.
Hey, Sonny, we are very busy here, eh?
But I only wanted to inquire about water skiing lessons.
Anytime, anywhere, at the Signor Alberto's School of the Water Skiing, I can teach anyone to water ski. Only not today. I'm busy with this very important television interview. Hey!
So sorry, Signor, we just don't have time to wait. Perhaps some other time. Ciao.
Ah, Mr. Alberto, might you have the time now?
Mamma mia! After you lose me all of that free publicity, what a chance you get a lesson from me!
Here now, why so glum?
I wanted to take one of Signor Alberto's crash courses.
Excuse me, lad. That wouldn't be a marmalade sandwich, would it?
Yes. Would you like half?
Don't mind if I do. Stanley's the name.
I'm Paddington Brown. Pleased to meet you.
You can't fool me. I knows a marmalade sandwich when I smells one.
Paddington, meet my good friend, Oliver.
Would you like my half, Mr. Oliver?
Right neighbourly of you, Paddington. I was feeling a bit peckish. But what are you going to eat?
Not to worry, Mr. Oliver. I always keep a spare one under my hat in case of an emergency.
Ah, eating again, eh? And whose lunch month should be scrounging off this time?
Paddington here practically forced it on us. A regular silver tongue if ever I heard one.
Yes, and I'm the Queen Mother. Come on then, boys, or we'll miss the hairy legs contest.
Would you happen to know what the first prize is this week, Maggie?
You'll never guess. A water skiing lesson from Signor Alberto.
Did someone mention a hairy legs contest?
Very hairy indeed.
What do you mean Paddington's entered a contest?
You'll see.
Finally, something halfway interesting to use for our report.
What day at the pier would be complete without a contest or two, and today is no exception.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen all the contestants. Remember, it's your applause that will choose the winner of our Hairy Legs contest.
Who, let's not forget, will receive the free crash course.
Crash course?
Did I say crash course? I meant hurry up to learn course. Capisce?
Is it contestant number 1? Or is it number 4? Or number 7? Yes, it's number 7. Let's hear it for number 7. Here's our winner. Hey, wait a minute. You're a bear. A bear can't win a hairy legs contest.
You didn't say anything about bears not being able to enter.
That's discrimination, that is.
Give him the prize.
Well, like I said, we have our winner.
No, I cannot teach a bear to water ski.
But your poster said you can teach anyone.
What do you say to that, Signor Alberto?
Like I said, anyone.
Anyone. The funny thing about life, Aunt Lucy, is that sometimes you get what you wished for, and other times you begin to wish you hadn't wished for it in the first place.
Keep your legs together and your knees bent. And just a shout when you're ready to go faster.
I'm afraid my knees are a bit near the water to start with.
Okay, faster it is.
Oh dear. Signor Alberto, I can't seem to master this.
Faster this. Okay.
Signor Alberto, slow down. Oh no, not up, down.
Wow! Look at Paddington.
Now, who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? It certainly looks like business will be picking up, Signor Alberto.
Well, it's like I said, life has its ups and it has its downs. And now, thanks to this young bear's gimmick, it has its ups.
I thought you might enjoy seeing these photographs which Mr. Brown took of my first flight, Aunt Lucy. But I think from now on I'll leave the flying to the birds, because like the old saying goes, what goes up must come down.
Ah, nephew. You certainly are a bear who has his paws firmly rooted on the ground. Most of the time.
He's putting for a birdie. The crowd is breathless with anticipation. Brilliant shot. What are your comments, Arnold Parker?
Well, in all the years I've been a golf pro, I've hardly ever seen a better display of technique and finesse.
I had broken something, and I didn't even hit the ball.
Whatever was that horrible noise?
It's that Mr. Curry. He's practicing his golf game for this weekend's Open tournament. And he's broken his own window.
Seeing how I was trying to learn about golf, I thought it might be good to watch someone play in the flesh. This knothole usually gave a very good view of Mr. Curry's garden. But something was blocking it.
Bear! Did you do that on purpose?
Oh, no, Mr. Curry. I was only trying to unblock the hole. If I'd known you were there, I would have done it much more gently.
I was looking for my golf ball. It went into your garden.
It couldn't have gone too far, Mr. Curry.
Found it, but I think you'll be in trouble with Mr. Brown. He's very fond of his tomato plants.
If people don't take the trouble to build their fences high enough, they must expect these things. Bear, I need a caddy for the golf competition tomorrow. If you're interested, I might not report you for nearly poking my eye out.
A caddy?
Oh, wonderful. The first thing to do is fill my golf bag with my clubs in the proper order. The driver, the 3 woods, 6 irons, sand wedge, pitching wedge for the short game, and of course the putter. That's settled then. I'll see you on the links at 2 o'clock sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. I don't think I've ever been on a links before.
Links? Caddy?
Of all the silly types of games that people like to play, there's really nothing quite as odd as what we'll do today. To golf, you need a set of clubs in a bag strapped on your back. A different club for every stroke, just to give the ball a whack. A par, birdie, hole-in-one, bogey, eagle, or 4. You need a dictionary just to keep the score. I guess golf is a simple game. You only have one goal: to hit the ball with fewer strokes and put it in the hole. That's put it in the hole. They have a giant sandbox where grown men have a fit about this little white ball that they can't seem to hit. A caddy carries all the clubs and never gets to play. I'd rather sit here on the green and eat some marmalade. I guess golf is a simple game. You only have one goal: to hit the ball with fewer strokes and put it in the hole. And put it in the hole. That's put it in the hole.
Mr. Curry told me I've got to keep sight of his ball after he hits it. So I decided a marmalade chunk would make it impossible to mix his ball up with anyone else's.
Oops!
Bear! My driver! I'll...
Perhaps we could tie the two ends together.
Tie them together? I shall make you pay for that, Bear. That was my best club!
If anyone is owed an apology, it's this young bear. And if this is your best club, I must say I wouldn't care to see your worst. It's all rusty. My name's Parker. Arnold Parker. I'm acting as an official here this afternoon.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Parker. My name's Brown. Paddington Brown.
Arnold Parker, the golf pro. I was only joking. This is just my practice set of clubs. Bear, do you happen to have my tea handy?
I'll be right back, Mr. Curry. Your tea, Mr. Curry. The clubhouse said you could pay for it after the tournament.
Pay for it? Bear! I didn't mean that sort of tea. I meant the kind you place the ball on. Oh, never mind. Now, stand clear.
Oh, dear. I think you've trodden on the sandwich Mr. Brown was kind enough to bring you.
Why, you bear! I'll show... Oh, when I get my hands on you. It's all your fault, Bear. Leaving marmalade sandwiches lying around like that.
Nonsense. If you hadn't thrown it down in the first place, it never would have happened.
Perhaps I could take your place in the competition, Mr. Curry.
There's no reason why not. It doesn't say anything in the rules about bears being barred.
Mind you make a good job of it, Bear, or you'll have to reimburse my entrance fee.
This is a new competitor. The crowd is breathless with anticipation.
Address the ball properly, Mr. Brown.
Address the ball? But I don't even have any stamps.
Yes, well, try again and bring your stance closer to it. 4, 5.
It's Paddington!
Yay!
It's Paddington!
Good old
He
Paddington!
hit it!
The ball is heading off the course. Oh, why? A train! It's...
Ugh, a marmalade chunk.
Oh, you can't trust anyone today.
Famed golf pro, Arnold Parker.
Well, I've never seen anything like it. Getting through an 18-hole golf course in one swing. It must be a world record. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the winner of this year's Open Tournament, Paddington Brown. And I present to you, Mr. Brown, the grand prize, a brand new set of golf clubs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parker. I'm going to give these golf clubs to my neighbour, Mr. Curry. After all, I did break his best club.
Incredible! I can't believe my luck.
And I do so hope he's all right.
There you go, Mr. Brown. All polished up and as good as new.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gruber. I can't think how it got so scratched.
When you remember all the thousands of miles we have traveled together, it is not so surprising. Besides, real leather needs feeding from time to time.
Perhaps it would like some marmalade.
I think not, Mr. Brown. Do you remember our first trip together? I was planning the opening chapter for my book, The World and Its Wonders. Camera, passport, traveler's checks.
Don't forget the map of France, Mr. Gruber.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Where would I be without you?
In Russia?
There is many a true word spoken in jest, Mr. Brown. I could do with someone like yourself to help me on my travels. Always willing to lend a paw. Perhaps it isn't such a fanciful idea after all. You could be my man Friday. Or perhaps I should say my bear Friday.
What about the rest of the week, Mr. Gruber?
If you will excuse me, Mr. Brown, I have a telephone call to make.
You want Paddington to go to France with you? To help you with your book? The one your millionaire customer is paying you to write? Excuse me a minute, Mr. Gruber. Henry!
I was delighted that you could accompany me on my trips to plan itineraries and do research.
Yes, and since we were going to France, Mr. Brown lent me his old beret, and Jonathan gave me that fake moustache. But planning an itinerary wasn't as easy as it sounded. I think I must have turned left at the end of Windsor Gardens by mistake.
Paddington? Are you all right in there? I hope you haven't made a mess. I only tidied up this morning. Paddington? Oh!
Excusez-moi?
I beg your pardon?
I didn't know you understood French, Mrs. Bird. You can borrow my book if you like.
Useful phrases for the traveller abroad. Well, you mind you don't give yourself a headache with all those new words.
I won't, Mrs. Bird. Au revoir.
Paddington may be ready for France, but are the French ready for Paddington?
Remember, Mr. Brown, I'm counting on you to take notes for future reference.
Note number 1. Remember to take notes.
Paddington, I think that must be your plane. Wow! Fancy flying in your own private jet. Mr. Gruber's benefactor certainly isn't cutting any corners.
I'll be interested to see how many times your passport gets stamped before you've completed your book, Mr. Gruber.
Oh, mercy me! Passports! What about Paddington?
Do bears need one?
I don't imagine Paddington's got a passport, knowing his circumstances.
Did you say there's someone travelling without a passport? Where is this individual? What?
This definitely isn't on the itinerary. Someone's left their table tennis bats.
It's Paddington. What's he up to now?
So that is the gentleman in question. I shall need his full name and address.
Well, he isn't actually a gentleman. He's a bear. We called him Paddington after the train station.
You're telling me I'm dealing with a bear? What's more, one without a passport, travelling under an assumed name. This will all have to be fully investigated.
Put down those paddles!
But I was only practicing my table tennis shots. Then that aeroplane started coming towards me.
Now we can get it from the bear's mouth. Where are you from?
Well, it depends. You see, I live at number 32 Windsor Gardens, but I come from darkest Peru. I stowed away in a lifeboat and...
A stowaway? This is a serious matter. I shall have to ask you to come with me and have your credentials checked.
Have my credentials checked? But I felt all right at breakfast. That's a false moustache that Jonathan gave me. And that's my notebook. I'm supposed to write down everything I see.
Are you in the pay of some foreign power?
Oh, no. Mr. Gruber comes from Hungary, but I don't think he's paying me.
What's that?
It's a marmalade sandwich. I always keep one in case I have an emergency, and I think I've got one coming.
I wonder what else you've got hidden away. There's something very fishy about this suitcase. For a start, it's smaller on the inside than it should be.
That's because it's got a secret compartment.
Oh, dear. Paddington can look very suspicious sometimes, especially if you don't know him.
Of course, I blame myself for not thinking about Paddington's circumstances before I suggested the trip.
If that bear is in trouble, they'll have me to deal with.
You don't think they'll send Paddington back to Peru, do you?
They wouldn't, would they?
They mustn't.
Over my dead body.
What would we do without him?
They can't.
Paddington, what happened?
Everything was cleared up when I showed them my passport.
You have a passport?
Of course. My Aunt Lucy would never have let me travel all this way without one.
All's well that ends well, Mr. Brown. But why ever didn't you say so?
Nobody ever asked me, Mr. Gruber, except for the nice lady.
The nice lady?
I must say this marmalade sandwich is awfully good. You don't happen to have any more, do you? Hidden away?
No, but I have a jar of marmalade if you have some bread and butter.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Bears always land on their feet.
Mrs. Bird was right. And it's a good thing they do, Mr. Brown. In our many adventures since then, I've learned that with you as a travel companion, anything can happen.
And usually does. Dear Aunt Lucy, you'll never guess what I've been doing. Ballet dancing.
No, Paddington. Not like that. Like this. You need Grace.
But I don't know anyone called Grace.
Grace means to move with ease. Like the great Russian dancer Sergei Oblomov. You'll see him perform at our school concert. And you'll be able to meet all my friends. They've heard so much about you.
Girls, please. Mr. Oblomov will be here any moment, and I want everything to be perfect.
Yes, Miss Grimshaw.
And I want you to be on your best behaviour.
Yes, Miss Grimshaw. I can't wait to dance the Paddington with Sergei. He's so dreamy.
I'm sure he's looking forward to it too, Monica. Now, girls, remember, no screaming.
Yes, Miss Grimshaw. Look at Susie and Paddington!
Girls, come back!
He feels lovely. It's like silky cream. Even nicer than your picture, Paddington. Come along, we've lots to catch up on. I told Mrs. Beadle all about you, and she's laid on some special marmalade sandwiches in the tuck shop.
Mrs. Beadle's laid on some marmalade sandwiches.
Girls, come back! Girls!
I'm sure those girls were meant to swoon over him, not Paddington.
He's not going to like it if there's nobody here to greet him.
Oh dear. I have a feeling this is the maestro now.
Oh.
What is this? No fence!
Mr. Oblomov, they were here, but,
What she means to say, Mr. Oblomov, is that the girls were here, but they got a little sidetracked.
By what?
A bear, actually.
A bear? What bear? Who is this bear?
His name's Paddington, and,
Mr. Oblomov, I'm terribly sorry. The girls will be here to greet you at any moment.
I have never been so humiliated.
are you enjoying the ballet so far?
It's all right, but I can't hear what they're saying.
You're not supposed to. You have to guess what's happening by the way they're dancing.
And it doesn't look as if much is happening.
What? Sergei isn't performing. Why? Apparently he's upset because no one was there to greet him when he arrived. And Monica is so devastated, she's locked herself in her room. Oh, Paddington, it's all my fault. I should have introduced you to the girls after the show.
I knew if I didn't do something quickly, the show would be ruined.
What's going on, darling?
I smell trouble.
Speaking of trouble, where is Paddington?
He was here a moment ago. Oh, no.
Please, Sergei!
No! I will not go on!
He's only a bear.
Only a bear? It's a good thing Mrs. Bird didn't hear you say that.
You are that bear.
I'm very sorry about what happened earlier, Mr. Oblomov. The girls will be very disappointed if you don't dance.
Well, if you insist. I have changed my mind. I will not disappoint my fans. First, I will do my famous solo. Then the pas de deux. I trust everything is in order.
No, I mean, yes, I'm sure it will be. Paddington, you've got to stall Sergei while I coax Monica out of her room.
Aha!
Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I'm afraid so.
You! Again! And what is this?
Don't worry, Mr. Oblomov. It's only marmalade.
I cannot go on. For one thing, you have too much shortness. And for the second thing, your entrechat. They are not clean.
My entrechat are not clean. But I had a bath last night.
I do not mean they are dirty. I mean they should be clean, snappy, like so.
It's a bit difficult when you've only got paws, Mr. Oblomov. But I'll have a try.
Paddington, are you all right?
You were wonderful. Even Monica said so.
How did you manage those high jumps?
Cause and effect. We've removed the cause and he'll soon get over the effect.
So you see, Aunt Lucy, dancing with Mr. Oblomov wasn't so hard. All you need is one large open safety pin, and the sky's the limit. And after a lot of hard work, that's just what we did. But I also managed to get very, very dirty. It was time to use a secret weapon. Magic bubbles contain special ingredients. With just one capful, magical results are guaranteed. Magical results. That's just what I need. If one capful does all they say, think what two might do. After all, tomorrow is a very special day.
Here you are, Paddington. I think I've removed all the stains.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bird.
You look so clean and shiny. And so slippery. It almost seems a pity to cover you up.
It's the magic bubbles, Mrs. Bird. 2-ton muscles galore, the strongest man in the world. He sounds very interesting.
Ah, Mr. Brown, I have to go and register the car. Why don't you have a look around the fair?
Where shall I start, Mr. Gruber?
Why, just follow your nose, Mr. Brown.
Ah, I see you've seen the bonny prize.
Prize?
For tossing the caber. Take a look over there. Oh! Hurry up to it, laddie.
I might have a go.
You, hand the caber to this young gentleman here.
You're kidding me, right? He'd never be able to hold it up.
I'll have you know that bears are very good at holding things. Thank you very much.
Mr. Brown?
I'm gonna... Come on now, Muscles. It's time for your show.
Oh, dear, Mr. Brown. This has put a damper on our entering the Grand Parade.
Perhaps we could try parading it on 3 wheels.
It's possible, I suppose, Mr. Brown. But someone would have to hold the other corner. Someone with a lot of strength.
I shan't be a moment, Mr. Gruber.
And in this corner, I give you the strongest man in the world, the one, the only, 2-ton Muscles Galore! And our challenger, ladies and gentlemen, is...
Who are you, Champ? My name isn't Champ. It's Paddington Brown, and I'm from darkest Peru.
And in this corner, all the way from darkest Peru, Paddington Brown!
Now, ain't this just a funny turn of events? It's him again. I'm going to enjoy this.
Mr. Galore, I was...
He's all slippery. No!
Mr. Galore, I just wanted to...
He's coated himself with something. I can't get an hold. He's all slippery, worse than an eel.
Paddington? Did you hear that?
Come over here, you!
No, thank you, Mr. Galore.
Well, I never, in all my years. Muscles galore indeed. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Why don't you pick on someone your own size?
Mrs. Bird, I only wanted to ask Mr. Galore if he'd help with Mr. Gruber's car.
Anything. I'll do anything you want. Just get her to stop, will ya?
I must thank you, Mr. Brown. I'd almost given up hope of entering the Grand Parade.
You're welcome, Mr. Gruber. But Mrs. Bird helped a bit too.
You're looking very full of beans, Paddington. Anyone would think you had a bus to catch.
Actually, I'm looking forward to a nice hot bath, Mrs. Bird.
Goodness gracious. Wonders will never cease.
My whiskers are a bit dusty, so I may need some more magic bubbles. They were so successful today. Who knows what results they could bring tomorrow?
I haven't seen Paddington this morning. What's he been up to? Don't bother answering. I can see for myself.
So can I. Unfortunately, he's discovered a new hobby.
These cutouts have been popping up ever since he heard about the Garden Society's topiary competition.
Topiary? But that's the art of clipping bushes into fantastic shapes. Not newspapers.
I think they're meant to be marmalade sandwiches.
Well, I hope he doesn't make sandwiches out of my shrubs.
If he hopes to win a contest, he's going to have to learn some new shapes.
And if we're lucky, he'll find someone else's shrubs to practice on.
I am fascinated by your new area of interest, Mr. Brown. And I think you'll find this book very helpful.
Clippings from my garden. Thank you very much, Mr. Gruber. Look at all the shapes. They'll make a nice change from sandwiches.
Yes, Mrs. Bird told me about those. I'm sure a look through that will give you plenty of ideas for the competition.
Thank you.
But a word of warning, Mr. Brown. What is cut off can't be put back.
Mr. Brown's going to be surprised when he comes home and finds a peacock in his garden. But where shall I start? Aha!
Who did that? Of all
Oh, the nerve! Oh, there. Is that you? Bear! What are you doing? This branch nearly had my eye out.
It's topiary, Mr. Curry. It's to do with cutting shrubs. I'm making a peacock.
A peacock?
Yes, the Browns said if I was going to enter the competition, I had to learn a new shape, and...
A competition, you say?
The Portobello Garden Society will pick the winner at the end of the week. The prize is £50.
£50? You know, Bear, a bit of topiary in my garden would raise the tone a bit. If you do one for me, I might not report you for nearly poking my eye out.
I'd be happy to, Mr. Curry.
And mind you don't go clipping one for everyone. I want mine to be exclusive.
Oh, I'm sure I can make it look like something that's never been done before.
You better start straight away, Bear.
This bush definitely looks as though it could do with a trim, Mr. Curry.
Just make sure it's finished by the time I get back. After I've got something for my eye, I shall call in at the Garden Society and bring the judges round.
The judges? I'd better get started right away. I read in Mr. Gruber's book that the general shaping of the bush is the easy part. But the touch-ups are tricky. They weren't joking. Oh, no. I think I'm in trouble again. Mr. Gruber was right. What is cut off can't be put back. I hope the book can tell me what to do in a situation like this. Some of the simpler shapes can take as long as 10 years to reach perfection. 10 years? Mr. Curry will be back with the judges in 10 minutes. I have to think fast. It's a good thing bears are good at thinking.
You'll not be disappointed, I assure you. When you see my topiary, you won't have to look any further for your winner.
Paddington, did you know Mr. Curry's entered the competition as well?
Yes, Mrs. Bird. I made a peacock for him.
A peacock? You mean he's taking credit for your work?
I don't really mind. Besides, I did almost poke his eye out.
Well, I mind. Come on.
Uh-oh.
See? Isn't it fantastic?
It certainly is. But tell us, Mr. Curry, how did you shape such a perfect peacock?
Patience. Lots and lots of patience.
Just a moment. Mr. Curry didn't make that. It was Paddington.
Entering someone else's work? This is highly irregular.
It isn't the first time something like this has happened. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, taking credit for a young bear's handiwork.
But it's my bush.
And it's a fake.
A fake? What do you mean, a fake?
There's some kind of foam in the middle. The branches are stuck in it.
It's alive! It's alive!
We've seen just about enough. This has been a complete waste of time.
Get it off! Get it off!
I'm sorry, Mr. Curry. Topiary isn't supposed to attack people.
There you are.
Hello.
I've got a surprise for you, Paddington. I bought this bush for you to practice on.
He's already practiced. On mine, and he ruined it.
You can have this one if you like, Mr. Curry.
Well, it's nothing like the original, of course.
I could try making you something else, Mr. Curry. A bear would look very nice in your garden.
A bear? A bear. A bear, indeed. You can't trust anyone today. And you leave things outside, and what happens? Oh, wait till I get my hands on it.
Perhaps not.
Wait till I get my hands.
Mr. Gruber and I were visiting London's Natural History Museum, where there was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. What is it, Mr. Gruber?
That's a Diplodocus, one of the largest dinosaurs ever to roam the Earth.
Large? It's huge. But just skin and bones. Well, just bones, actually.
It's a fossil of a dinosaur that lived millions of years ago.
Oh, I was wondering how it got down those stairs. Wouldn't a creature like that make a wonderful chapter in your book?
The World and Its Wonders. Precisely why I've brought you here, Mr. Brown. We are off to visit an old friend of mine in Canada to go on a dinosaur dig in the Alberta Badlands.
Peekaboo! Hey, Gruber. Long time no see.
Indeed it is, Dr. Canmore. And may I introduce you to my friend?
Paddington Brown of 32 Windsor Gardens, London, originally of darkest Peru.
Pleased to meet you, Paddington. I see you admire our Albertosaurus, originally of the darkest Jurassic. The Albertosaurus was one of the fiercest flesh-eating dinosaurs.
Ooh. Flesh-eating?
Speaking of eating, we finished. But do you guys want some lunch?
No, thank you. I'm not particularly hungry right now, Doctor. Why is a doctor needed here? Are the dinosaurs ill?
No, Mr. Brown. Dr. Canmore is a paleontologist, a scientist who studies ancient life.
That means anything before Gruber here was born. Come on, I'll show you around. This is where we dump rock after checking it for fossils. There's a lot of digging in paleontology.
Bears are good at digging. Perhaps I could be a
Think of Dr. Canmore as a dinosaur detective, Mr. Brown.
A detective? That means you have to search for clues.
Yes, but my clues are hundreds of millions of years old. In fact, you're standing in one right now.
A footprint.
Paddington, I'd like you to meet my research assistant, Archibald Didsbury. Why don't you show Paddington round your dig?
According to Mr. Didsbury, the dry Badlands used to be a big wet swamp when the dinosaurs lived here. It all seemed quite fantastic.
Don't touch that! Oh, paleontology is a most precise science. We must know the exact position of every bone.
Oh, I wasn't going to move it, Mr. Didsbury. It's much too big.
Any mistake could mean a difference of millions of years in our calculations. Very important, especially if we discover a new dinosaur.
There are new dinosaurs, Mr. Didsbury. Live ones.
All dinosaurs are old and dead. There are just some we haven't found yet. Hand me that brush, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Didsbury.
Say, Paddington, isn't it? It would be a great help to us if you could check to see if we missed any fossils back at where the big machine is.
I'd love to help, Mr. Didsbury. But will the hose go that far?
No need for the hose. Just get out of here. I mean, just get digging.
It was a big responsibility to be in charge of a dig on my first day as a dinosaur detective.
Bones, 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 digging for bones, picking around these rocks and stones. Long ago, in years gone by, dinosaurs ruled the earth and sky. Some were large, some were small, some we know were very tall. Bones, 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 bones. When they walked, the earth would quake. The sound of their roar made others shake. And when they died, left only bone. And over time, it turned to stone. Dinosaurs were colossal. Now all that's left is a fossil. Dinosaur detectives got a job to do. Gonna dig around, gonna find a clue. Bones, bones, digging for bones. Picking around these rocks and stones. Bones, bones, digging for bones. Picking around these rocks and stones for bones.
Mr. Didsbury! Mr. Didsbury! Ow! Mr. Didsbury, I found a fossil!
Where?
It's not a big one, I'm afraid, but have you ever seen one like it?
Yes! It was called lunch!
My dinosaur! My marmalade! Luckily, I still had a bit of string, so I thought I'd try using it to get my marmalade back.
Hey, Didsbury!
Oh, I thought you were that bear. If he isn't soaking me, he's making dinosaurs out of chicken bones and... Oh, now what has he done?
Mr. Gruber!
I've got you, Mr. Brown.
A fossil! I've never seen anything like it!
It's some kind of hair-bearing therapsid from the Permian period, an ancestor of today's mammals.
I've got you, Mr. Brown. Look, Mr. Brown, if you screw up your eyes, it almost looks as though it could have been pushing some kind of early shopping basket on wheels which has tipped over. Perhaps it had an accident on its way home with the shopping.
Maybe he didn't make it because there was some cataclysmic upheaval.
You should look around, Mr. Brown, and see if there's any prehistoric shopping lying around.
I'm afraid not, Mr. Gruber. There's only my jar of marmalade. But my jar had a label. Could it have belonged to the dinosaurs after all?
We will never know the truth, Mr. Brown. But in this world of wonders, all things are possible. In any case, this will make a good ending to my chapter.
Actually, I know an even better one. Paddington gets to name this new discovery.
I would like to name this new species of dinosaur the Paddingsaurus marmaladus. I'm glad we're up here and not down there, Mr. Gruber.
I would have to agree, Mr. Brown.
Those are wildebeest, the thunder of the plains.
And they'll make the perfect picture for your book, The World and Its Wonders, Mr. Gruber. If only they would stay still for a moment.
Patience, Mr. Brown. Things move at a different pace here in Africa. Everything comes to those who wait.
Waiting is the hardest part.
The diversity of species is hard to believe, from anteaters to zebras.
But despite the efforts of nature lovers like ourselves, animals continue to disappear each day. Poachers are the big problem.
Poachers? Like for eggs?
Even egg poachers. Nothing is safe. The villains are always on the lookout to take what they can.
Ranger Odumbe is right, Mr. Brown. It has become a very serious matter.
I could tell that it was. So that night, I decided to do something about it. I would protect our eggs from the poachers, even if Mr. Gruber prefers his scrambled. But then I remembered that Ranger Odumbe said the villains are always on the lookout to take what they can. So I intended to take extra special care. If those egg poachers try anything, they'll have Ranger Paddington to deal with. Oh. Who goes there? Shh. There was someone out there. Luckily, back home in the jungles of darkest Peru, my Aunt Lucy had taught me how to move through the forest quietly and unseen.
Ah, what a steal!
This ostrich egg is worth a fortune.
Egg poachers! I had to tell Ranger Odumbe.
Oh. Good morning, Mr. Brown. Did you sleep well? Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown is gone.
But to where?
Who knows? But we must find him before he goes too far.
I also got my keen sense of direction from Aunt Lucy, and I was certain our camp was through here. On second thoughts, Oh dear. I hope that ostrich doesn't think I took her egg. One good peck from her, and I'd have a headache for days. On the other hand, if I'd laid an egg that size and it was stolen, I'd be upset too. If everybody went around stealing ostrich eggs, there soon wouldn't be any left. And that would be the end of ostriches.
Tire marks! Poachers are in the area.
Oh, I hope they haven't found Mr. Brown. Can you tell which way they went?
Whoa! Help! Get us down!
It was Mr. Gruber and Ranger Adumbe. They were in some kind of danger. It was up to Ranger Paddington to save them.
Well, now, this is quite a catch.
You're both under arrest!
You won't get away with this.
Mr. Gruber is very close. And so are you. Not many people know crocodiles like marmalade. That's something else Aunt Lucy taught me. This all looks very serious.
Poaching is a crime. You will be punished.
You should be ashamed.
This ostrich egg will fetch us a fortune, and there's no one about to stop us.
Just as I suspected. Release Mr. Gruber and Ranger Adumbe, you egg poachers!
Run, Mr. Brown! Get help!
Do you see what I see? He'll be worth a fortune to the right customer. Grab him!
That's nuts!
Well done, Mr. Brown. But look out!
You'll pay for that, bear!
Stop!
Let us out of here!
Only when you're locked up, safe and sound.
I'm so glad I found you, Mr. Gruber. I had quite a time, what with all the egg poaching going on.
Egg poaching?
Yes, I was guarding our breakfast eggs when I saw these men with this poor ostrich's egg.
Egg poachers! Oh, Mr. Brown, you never cease to amaze me. Bears certainly do have a way of landing on their paws, don't they?
That's what Mrs. Bird always says, Mr. Gruber. Mr. Gruber, I think I've managed to find the perfect photograph to take for your book, The World and Its Wonders.
This is all very egg-citing.
After that day's experience, we decided that for breakfast, we would only have fruit and toast during the rest of our stay in Africa. And I think that was a very good decision indeed.
He's late. Look, that's him. Red hat, blue coat. I am Shikako. This is Suzuki-san. Suzuki-san? Watanabe-san? I'm Mori-san. I'm afraid I am the only one who speaks English well.
Pleased to meet you, Mrs. San. Can I help you?
We would like to go on the house tour now. We wish to see how people live in traditional English houses.
Oh, really? I know some English people, and they even live in English houses. But why are you asking me?
Our tour guide is to be wearing a red hat and blue coat.
Well, that certainly sounds like me. Paddington Brown is my name, and I'd be honored to take you on a tour. Since coming here from darkest Peru, I've made a very thorough study of the neighborhood. I can show you just how English people live.
It's odd. There's no one here. 1 p.m, Portobello Road. 5 Japanese tourists for the English House and Tea Tour. I'll just have to find them. Maybe they're waiting at another corner.
See the traditional mousetrap in the corner with a little piece of cheese in it? The truth is that mice prefer peanuts.
Paddington? Please wipe your feet.
Allow me to introduce Mrs. Bird. She's a traditional English housekeeper. And here are the very English Mr. and Mrs. Brown.
Hi, Jimmy Master.
Paddington? Who are your guests?
These are my new friends, Mrs. Bird. I'm just giving them a tour.
Oh.
Hello.
How do you do?
Nice to meet you.
And this is a traditional banister. All English houses seem to have them, and it's very good for sliding down.
It's very strange of Paddington to bring home some friends unannounced.
Well, whoever they are, they certainly have very good manners.
Mrs. Bird, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, you have a lovely home. We heard English houses were cold and drafty.
There's a house like that next door.
And a crusty old English gentleman to go with it.
That sounds wonderful.
This is Mr. Curry. That's Mr. Curry's house.
What's this, Bear? A tour?
Yes, I'm showing these tourists from Japan how English people live.
We're on the Red Hat English House and Tea Tour. Paddington-san is an excellent tour guide. He is worth every pound.
Every pound?
Is this where we will have our English tea?
But of course! Welcome to 34 Windsor Gardens, authentic English bed and breakfast. That'll be £40 each for the night, including tea.
Mr. Curry doesn't have a refrigerator, but he does have one of these. He has to put ice in it every day to keep the food cool. It's not very traditional, just strange.
Excuse me, Paddington-san. Will we be having our English tea now?
Yes. Paddington-san is just about to get everything ready. Now, why don't I show you my collection of rare books? Bear, make our guests their tea.
Aunt Lucy always said that guests come first, so I don't think the Browns will mind if I borrow a few things.
More tea, dear.
Yes, please. What the...
Oh! Watch where you're going! By the way, Bear, we'll need some cake for our tea.
Mr. Curry's quite right for once.
Curry-san, we would like to freshen up before tea.
Mind you don't use up all the hot water.
May we please have some towels?
Where did the cake go? I'm sure I left it right here.
Where's my towel?
It's almost ready, Mr. Curry, but Mrs. Bird always serves tea on a lace tablecloth. Perhaps I could borrow hers.
There's no time, Bear. Just serve the tea. I'll tell them it's ready.
Tea is served.
My antique chairs! My curtains!
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No need to find others, Mr. Curry. In Japan, we are accustomed to sitting on floor.
Perhaps you'd like to experience an outdoor tour of England for a while.
We could visit my friend, Mr. Gruber. He owns an antique shop.
And they are staying with you?
Yes, and you should be happy I'm not discussing my percentage if they buy anything.
Suzuki-san wants to buy that coronation plate for his wife.
It's a fine piece. I'm sure she will enjoy it. Arigato.
I didn't know you spoke Japanese, Mr. Gruber.
I like to make my customers feel at home, Mr. Brown.
been looking all over for you. If we hurry, we can finish the tour before dark.
Oh, you must be replacing the other guide. But we would have liked to thank him. He was most helpful.
No, wait!
Ah, good. They've gone.
But I didn't have a chance to say goodbye.
£40 times 5, that's 200. Not bad for an afternoon's work. Ah, Bear! You've come to pay me back the cost of repairing the antique chairs.
Mr. Curry, your guests are back.
Thank you for our tour this morning, Paddington, sir. And Curry, sir, would you mind bringing in the luggage?
You'll need a red hat from now on, Mr. Curry. You can borrow mine if you promise to take care of it.
Curry, sir, is there any of that cake left? And Morisa wonders if he can sleep in the big bed. I do wish Mr. Curry would hurry up and finish all his home improvement.
I wouldn't mind if they were his ideas in the first place. But now he's even talking of putting a serving hatch in his kitchen wall, just like the one Mr. Brown installed.
He said he'd do that right after he copies the concrete path Mr. Brown put in our garden.
Oh, indeed. If Mr. Curry's not simply being mean, he's busy copying everyone else's ideas.
Are you sure you won't come with us, Paddington?
No, thank you, Mrs. Brown. I think I'll stay at home and sit in the garden.
Oh, I don't think you'll get much peace. Not while Mr. Curry's busy trying to copy all of Henry's improvements.
It had indeed been a very busy week for Mr. Brown. The serving hatch he installed made life easier for everyone, not just Mrs. Bird. And the kitchen sparkled with a fresh coat of paint. It was when Mr. Brown laid the new concrete path in the garden that Mr. Curry got wind of it all. Mrs. Bird says that Mr. Curry's never had an original idea in his life.
I'll never finish these renovations. Unless... Good morning, Bear.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Curry.
I wonder if you'd care to lend a paw, Bear. I'm laying down some stakes, and it's a bit difficult with only one pair of hands. This way!
Mrs. Bird is right, Mr. Curry. You do want your house to look like ours.
What? Well, anyway, I'll show you where you can put the stakes, and you can carry on while I go out for more supplies. And if you finish before I get back, you can collect some rubble for the path's foundation. If you do a good job, there might be 10 pence in it for you.
Thank you, Mr. Curry, but...
Good. Now, when I nod my head, you hit it. Where are you, Bear? Come back here, Bear!
I couldn't believe my ears when Mr. Curry told me to hit his head, but over the years I've learned never to question him. There's always a first time.
Oh, when I get my hands on him, oh, you'll be sorry. Now I shall have to stop at the doctor's before buying my supplies.
While I hadn't agreed to lend a paw with the stakes or collect rubble, I did feel badly about hitting Mr. Curry, and I wanted to make it up to him. But since he hadn't shown me where to put the stakes, I'd have to find another way to help him. And I did. Oh! I found that knocking down walls was much more interesting than what Mr. Curry had planned for me. Even with all the dust. I had finished one of the best jobs I could ever remember doing, and I was sure Mr. Curry would be just as pleased. Oh dear, I think I'm in trouble again. I'd seen the Browns' house from a great many different angles, but never from that direction. Uh-oh.
There you are, Bear. What are you up to now?
What am I up to now, Mr. Curry?
Ah, I see you're trying to make amends, and you've done very well. This is excellent rubble. Here, I promised you 10 pence, and I must say you've earned it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Curry. But I won't spend it yet in case you want it back.
Nonsense. Of course I shan't want it back. This rubble's just what I need for my path.
I don't think you should use it for your path, Mr. Curry. You may want it for something else.
Something else? Whatever are you on about? Give me an example.
If it's all the same to you, Mr. Curry, I'd rather not.
Well, back to work then. There. That won't come up again in a hurry once it's set. Bear? Where have you got to, Bear? Yoo-hoo! Bear! Bear! Bear!
Ooh, I just saw a bear running that way.
He'll be doing more than running when I catch him.
Don't worry, mate. I'll just leave your milk in this delivery hatch. Won't even have to bother you from now on.
Delivery hatch?
It's a terrific idea, you know. I'm sure the grocery boy and anyone else who has to make deliveries will agree. It'll make life so much easier. And if you build a cupboard inside, you won't even have to answer the door.
No, I wouldn't, would I? Ah, there you are, Bear. Come here at once.
I'm sorry about the serving hatch, Mr. Curry. You see, I picked the wrong wall by mistake. Your house is the same as the Browns', except everything's the other way round.
Don't worry, Bear. It's a splendid idea. Very practical indeed. Don't know why I didn't think of it ages ago. And you know what the best part of it is, Bear?
It was free, Mr. Curry?
Not only that, Bear. What's best of all is that no other house on the street has one.
Ah, maybe I'll surprise Mr. Brown with one as well.
And you are one Paddington Brown?
Mrs. Bird says one is enough.
Oh, I'm sure she's right. This letter says you've been invited to be part of a live studio audience. But it doesn't say anything about you being a bear. Do you have any form of identification?
I don't think I have any forms, but I have this photograph from my Aunt Lucy. It says, "To my dear nephew Paddington." Oh, there's this. It's got my paw mark on it. Mrs. Bird says no one else has one quite like it.
I don't suppose anyone would want one either. This is the number of the studio you want?
Thank you.
And be careful you don't get lost.
I've never got lost this quickly before. Maybe the high altitude is making me see things.
Are you lost?
Very lost, I'm afraid. I'm looking for this studio.
Down the hall, second door on the left. But you better hurry. The jam session's about to start.
A jam session? It's a good job I brought a marmalade sandwich.
I hope we get to see Paddington in one of the live studio audiences.
With that hat and duffel coat, he shouldn't be too hard to spot.
Thank you. And for our last number, we have a wonderful gift.
Eh?
See? Just like I said.
I have a feeling whoever invited Paddington to the television studios is going to wish they hadn't.
Who are you?
Yes, as I was saying, our wonderful guest is...
Paddington Brown of 32 Windsor Gardens.
Paddington Brown, Paddington Brown. But you're supposed to be in Studio 6, not Studio 9.
I didn't know about the jam session, so I hope a marmalade sandwich will do.
I'm afraid we can't play this.
Play it? My Aunt Lucy taught me never to play with my food.
Yes, and how can I help you?
I think I took a wrong turn.
Oh, I see what's happened. You must have thought the 6 was a 9.
I did not. Aunt Lucy also taught me my numbers.
What I mean is, you're in the wrong studio. Studio 6 is through there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, change the channel. I can't watch this anymore. And now, finally, for our last number.
But this is Studio 8. Well, at least I'm getting warmer.
Where's that bear?
I have you, Robin Hood! Nothing can save you now!
I think you dropped something.
You'll not save him, Friar Tuck.
Friar Tuck? Oh.
It's not my place to say, but I've always been told that violence doesn't pay.
I can't believe it.
That's it. I'm calling the television station.
Why don't we watch the news?
And on the international scene, there have been reports of strange sightings abroad. There's been a new development in the amazing discovery.
It's happened again.
I've tried phoning the station 5 times, but they're always busy.
Oh dear. I hope people aren't calling to complain about Paddington.
What is going on in my studios? Miss Warren, find the audience coordinator and that bear and bring them to my office on the double.
I don't believe it. This is Studio 6, but the show's over.
There you are.
There you are. The chairman would like to see both of you in his office immediately.
Oh, no.
I think I'm in trouble again.
This is very serious. Those programs were going out live. Everyone in the country must have seen you.
You see, I got my 6s and 9s mixed up.
Yes! I know they're right here. I was just... What? How many? That many? That's incredible! As I was saying, this is very serious. It turns out everyone in the country did see you. They did!
They did?
And they loved you! Our switchboard has been flooded with calls from happy viewers wondering where and when you'll turn up next. You've done us a great service. Our ratings have soared. Congratulations, good work.
Oh, thank you, sir. You know what they say, there's nothing like live TV.
We'll have to have you back, Mr. Brown.
Perhaps next time I could start at Studio 1 and work my way up.
Dear Aunt Lucy, just imagine my excitement when I found the Browns and I had been invited to a fancy dress ball. Of course, to go to such an affair, one needs the right clothes. Oh, not to mention a good tailor.
Perfect. Don't move. Oh dear. This will be difficult. The gentleman's legs are a bit... Still, we've never been beaten yet. May I ask, is that your copy of Duncan Hyde's restaurant guide? Ah, to eat at an establishment he has rated worthy of 5 bowler hats. That would be heaven.
I'm treating my family to a lunch out today, so I asked Paddington to find us a good place to go.
If I may be so bold, there's a new restaurant just opened up underneath this shop. The food there is simply exquisite.
Ah, so you've tried it then?
Well, no, but the menu is a work of art.
Well, why not? Paddington, we'll meet you there when you're finished here.
Speaking of bowlers... Add inspiration. I have a feeling this is the beginning of a great adventure in fashion.
Change the way you feel, dress a different way. Try a brand new look and have some fun today.
A gangster suit can look real slick, a wide-brimmed hat with silver toothpick. Groovy clothes can make you swing, snap your fingers and want to sing. Disco clothes make you feel alright, make you want to dance on Saturday night.
Change the way you feel, dress a different way. Try a brand new look and have some fun today.
If you want to have some rhythm and soul, dress up like the king of rock and roll. Thank you very much. Plain and simple or stylish flair, it's hard to know just what to wear.
Change the way you feel, dress a different way. Try a brand new look and have some fun today.
The tailor wanted to deliver the suit, but I decided to wear it there and then. I couldn't wait to show the Browns my new outfit.
I don't understand it. We've been open for 2 weeks now and still no sign of a review in the newspaper from Duncan Hyde. If only we knew what he looked like. All we have to go on is his silly newspaper picture. How am I supposed to attract business if the most famous restaurant reviewer in London won't even step through my door? It's him! At last!
May I be of assistance, sir?
I noticed you're not in the book, but I was hoping I might be able to do some testing later on. I think some of your dishes might be worth a bowler.
Good afternoon, sir. May I say what an honor it is to have you here with us today? May I show you to our very best table?
This restaurant was seeming nicer by the minute, Aunt Lucy. I was sure Duncan Hyde would enjoy it.
Get this gentleman whatever he wants. He need only sign the bill.
You might like to try the chef's salad Bombay, or the shish kebab flambé, the fruit de mer sauté, or perhaps the risotto batto.
Those all sound good.
Such dedication to duty. Start the gentleman on the salad Bombay.
I had never seen such food before, Aunt Lucy. The first dish cleansed my palate, and the second warmed it up. I plunged into the third course with gusto. All in all, it was a magical experience.
Peking duck. Rack of lambs.
Goodness, look how much that bear's eaten.
Do you think he's trying for some sort of world record?
Would Sir care for a digestif, cognac, armagnac, Cointreau, or perhaps a nice chilled dessert wine?
Do you have any hot cocoa?
I have a feeling you're trying to catch us out. Perhaps you would like to cast an eye over our selection of sweet temptations.
I'd rather eat them. But I really should save some room. I'm having lunch with the Browns.
Oh, how nice.
Look at how much he's eaten. It must be some kind of publicity stunt to drum up customers.
Well, he's certainly making me feel hungry.
Goodness, what a popular place. I hope we can get a table.
I don't see Paddington. He must still be at the tailor's.
If you would just sign this, sir.
What's this? Do you mean to say you're not Duncan Hyde, the famous gourmet?
Duncan Hyde? My name's not Duncan Hyde. It's Paddington Brown from darkest Peru.
I thought bear. He ain't huge amounts.
That waiter looks very...
A bear with hollow legs.
For no money.
Come on, everyone. I think we have some rescuing to do. Excuse us.
£300 for a meal?
About 10 meals by my reckoning.
£20 for a bomb surprise?
That's all part of the surprise.
Well, I've got one for you. I've only got 10 pence.
Does this young bear belong to you?
Well, actually,
Henry, how could you?
since you ask, I'm afraid he does. Belong to us, that is.
Yeah. Come now. No need to worry about mere money. Having that bear in here has brought me more customers than even the best review from Duncan Hyde. I owe you a vote of thanks, my young friend. Please sit, everyone. As friends of this bear, you are all welcome to lunch on the house.
Well, Paddington, why don't you order first?
I think perhaps I might just sit and watch, if you don't mind, Mr. Brown. But I know what I'd like to do first. May I please borrow a pen?
Of course.
I'm afraid I can't award you any bowler hats. But here are 5 Peruvian ones instead.
Paddington, dinner's ready.
Coming, Mrs. Bird.
It looks as though you're enjoying your new kite, Paddington.
It's very good value, especially when the wind blows.
Well, be careful. What goes up doesn't always come back down.
Where's my kite?
What are you doing, Bear?
Have you seen my kite, Mr. Curry?
What kite?
It cost me a week's bun money, and it's vanished. I'll have to tell Mrs. Bird that what goes up can also disappear.
A bat! Help! Ow! Get me the police, the fire brigade, the zoo, the army! This is an emergency!
What's happening at Mr. Curry's house?
Are you all right, Mr. Curry?
It was terrible. I was attacked by the most hideous of creatures. It was a...
It's a kite, sir. Only a kite.
You found it! Fancy calling the police and the fire brigade to help me find my kite. That was very kind of you, Mr. Curry. Thank you.
Ah, this is all that bear's fault. Him and his tricks.
You're not the first to get taken in today, sir. And I dare say you won't be the last.
After all, it is April Fool's Day, mate.
April Fools? Why, that bear, he'll be sorry. He won't get the best of Reginald Curry. Two can play this game.
That should do the trick. Now, what goes up can't fly away.
Bear?
What's the matter, Mr. Curry? Have you seen another bat?
I've pulled a muscle in my leg, Bear. I need your help. Listen, Bear. There's a brown box in the attic with a red box inside. Can you go up there and find it for me? It's very important.
Certainly, Mr. Curry.
And could you do a bit of a clean-up while you're looking for it, Bear? I'd do it myself, but my injury...
No red box in this one either. I looked in every single box, Mr. Curry, but I didn't find a red one anywhere. Is your leg all better now, Mr. Curry?
The pain comes and goes, Bear. Comes and goes. I remember now. That red box isn't in the attic. It's in the cellar.
There's no red box in the cellar either, Mr. Curry.
No red box! April Fool, Bear! I got you back good and proper. April Fool!
What's an April Fool, Mr. Curry?
What's an April Fool? As if you didn't know, Bear.
April Fool's Day is when you're allowed to play tricks on people, Mr. Brown.
What does that have to do with Mr. Curry's red box?
I'm afraid Mr. Curry sent you on a fool's errand, asking you to look for something that was never there.
You mean people can tell lies on April Fool's Day?
That's right, Mr. Brown. Little white lies. But everything returns to normal at 12 noon.
It's only 11 o'clock. That means there'll be another hour of all this.
Don't leave yet, Mr. Brown. I have some very exciting news for you.
Wait a minute. That bear's no fool. He is going to get back at me. Well, I'll be ready for him.
Mrs. James won the lottery. She's Mr. Gruber's very best client. And because she's so wealthy, she's decided to share her winnings.
With anyone who shows up at the shop?
That's right. Between 11:30 and noon.
Then we'd better hurry.
What's this about sharing lottery winnings, Bear?
Wouldn't you like to know, Mr. Curry?
Mrs. James is going to be at Mr. Gruber's shop, and anyone who shows up is going to get £20.
I've had enough of your tricks for one day, Bear.
What tricks, Mr. Curry?
And I'm surprised at you, Mrs. Bird, trying to help him work another one.
Paddington is not the sort of bear to play silly April Fool's tricks. However, it doesn't take much effort to make you look like a fool, Mr. Curry. Come along, Paddington.
That bear can't trick me. So, you're all in on that bear's trick. Well, you won't fool me. No, sir. I'm smarter than a lot of you combined. Wait a minute. Since his trick didn't work, he might try again.
Would you believe it? £20!
Mr. Brown.
Thank you very much, Mrs. James. I hope you win the lottery many more times. Mrs. James is a very nice lady.
She certainly is. Look at all these smiling people.
Move aside. Out of my way. Open up! I want my £20.
It's 12 o'clock, Mr. Curry. You're too late.
Too late? I thought this was another of your April Fool's tricks.
Oh, no, Mr. Curry. I would never play a trick on you.
Now listen here, Bear. You tricked me all right. Tricked me with your silly kite.
But, Mr. Curry, I lost my kite and you found it.
Nonsense. You tricked me and I tricked you back. Then you told the truth about Mrs. James. But you knew I wouldn't believe you.
I suppose in the end, even though I didn't mean to, I did trick you, Mr. Curry.
You certainly did, Bear. And for that, I am entitled to your £20.
I'm not an April Fool, Mr. Curry.
Dear Aunt Lucy, last night I gave the Browns some of my special homemade toffee for dessert.
What do you think of it, Mr. Brown?
It's, quite unique.
Where did you find the recipe, Paddington?
It was handed down to me by my uncle in darkest Peru, Mrs. Brown.
I should think he was glad to be rid of it.
More toffee?
Oh.
I was just about to brush my teeth, but I couldn't resist one more piece of toffee.
My uncle used to say it's very good exercise for the jaws.
I think Paddington's toffee could have industrial applications as a super cement.
Paddington, what's wrong? I lost one of my teeth. I know I had it this morning.
I can see where it was. The bottom half is there, but the top must have broken off.
But I've had that tooth since I was born. And it was my best one.
It's a pity you've lost your broken piece. You could have left it under your pillow for the tooth fairy. She would have given you 5 pence for it.
Perhaps we can find it. Oh.
We've searched everywhere, but no luck.
That means I shan't get my 5 pence.
Cheer up, Paddington. It could have been worse. If you'd lost a whole tooth, it would have been 10 pence.
10 pence? Someone ought to tell the tooth fairy Bear's teeth are worth a lot more than that. I bet she's got all her teeth.
Are you all right, Paddington? Does it hurt?
It doesn't hurt, Mrs. Brown. It just feels empty. I had to take good care of what was left. You never know with tooth fairies. I don't think I shall have any breakfast this morning. The spot where my tooth was is starting to hurt.
That's it. I'm calling the dentist.
I wonder if we should be taking him to the dentist. Or the vet.
The vet?
It was good of Mr. Leach to see a new patient like Paddington so quickly.
Who said anything about Paddington? I simply said there was an emergency in the family.
Don't you think you're a little overdressed, Paddington?
Jonathan told me I might be frozen.
Oh, he didn't mean the whole of you, dear. Just the bit round your tooth, so that it won't hurt.
There's nothing to be afraid of, Paddington. Mr. Leach has been practicing for years.
Practicing? Couldn't we pay extra and get someone who knows what he's doing?
Open wide. We're ready to begin. I'm afraid I shall have to charge extra. Bears have 42 teeth.
But I've only got 41.5.
That's still 9.5 more than I normally deal with.
I expect some of mine are spares in case of an emergency. Like the marmalade sandwich I keep under my hat.
It looks to me as though we've been eating something we shouldn't.
Have you been making toffee too, Mr. Leach?
No, I haven't. Now, open wide.
I must say, going to the dentist wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. There was a comfortable chair, a lamp to keep me warm, and it was all over in no time.
There.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leach. I didn't feel a thing.
That's because I haven't done anything yet. I have to give you an injection first.
Oh!
Now, just stay where you are for a moment. I'll be right back.
I thought the injection must be the freezing Jonathan told me about, so I decided to have some fruit juice first. Oops. Then I noticed that Mr. Leach had left his vacuum cleaner plugged in.
Ow! Oh. Well, it seems we're all comfortable and ready to start. Open wide, please.
How do you think it's going? It's awfully quiet in there.
They say no news is good news.
Are we ready for our injection now? And please understand, this will hurt me more than it will hurt you. There we go. All done.
That didn't hurt at all. Would you like me to give you your injection now, Mr. Leach?
Certainly not. Whatever next.
But you said yours would hurt more than mine.
I need to take a wax impression. Now, say ah, then bite down hard and don't let go for anything.
Oh,
dear.
Oh. That was my thumb, or what's left of it.
But you said don't let go for anything, Mr. Leach.
Would you like us to come back another day?
No, no. When I first became a dentist, I was told some days would be worse than others, and I won't be beaten now. If I'm going to fit this young bear with a new gold top to his tooth, I'm going to finish the job.
A new gold top?
It'll make you even more valuable than you are now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leech. Perhaps you'd like to try one of these.
It's very kind of you. I don't normally indulge. It doesn't set a very good example, but perhaps just this once.
Oh dear, Mr. Leech. I hope you haven't done what I did. But I'm afraid he had, Aunt Lucy. On the other hand, it gave me an idea. I unwrapped the toffee I'd started the night before, and there was my tooth. I put the 5 pence the tooth fairy left me towards buying the ingredients for making softer toffee. I hope you enjoy it.
No!